You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the productivity specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today is episode 331, Living in Alignment with Your Personal Priorities, with Molly Asplin. If you're a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Today, I'm looking forward to you meeting our guest, Molly Asplin. After 7 years of working in corporate finance, Molly found herself waking up every morning thinking there has to be something more. While she loved her coworkers and her company, she wanted to directly impact the lives of others. She was feeling complacent and surface-level happy and knew there was something more that she wanted to give. She found herself wanting more freedom in her daily schedule, freedom to create something meaningful with the work that made her passionate and excited. Looking for a solution, she started working on herself, her nutrition, fitness, and daily personal development. She found that these daily habits created productivity, energy, and opened her eyes to a future career. Today, Molly coaches other women on how to start businesses to create more fulfillment in their lives. She is a firm believer in helping women create options for their families, financial flexibility, location flexibility, and time flexibility, so that they can wake up every morning feeling peace, excitement, and purpose. I want to invite you to take my 3-minute Next Level Business Owner quiz. In 3 short minutes, you will uncover what is most holding you back from taking your business to the next level, and then you'll receive a curated playlist from the podcast in your inbox with specific episodes that address those challenges, that have solutions and strategies that you can implement immediately. Take 3 minutes and head on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz. And now, let's meet our guest and get to the straight talk. Welcome to the podcast, Molly. I'm so looking forward to our conversation. I had the great pleasure of being a guest on your podcast, and we really hit it off. So I'm happy to bring you to my audience and have a great conversation today.
Awesome, Amber. I'm so happy to be here. Honored to be here.
Yes. So share with our listeners a little bit about yourself that we didn't hear in your official bio, just to let us know who you are and why we get to talk about, setting personal priorities, goals, work-life balance.
Yeah, these are all topics I love so much. And I come from a corporate background. I was a senior accountant. I have a background in accounting. And I spent 7 years in corporate America doing accounting, thinking I was always climbing the corporate ladder and thinking that would be my path. And I really started to realize, like in year 6 of climbing that ladder, this doesn't feel quite aligned. I feel like there's something else for me. And I would drive to work in the morning feeling like, I just feel like what else is out there for me? And I kind of had this visceral gut feeling of this just isn't what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. And the reason was because it felt very disjointed with what I actually cared about. Yes, I was good at accounting and proficient at it. And, I could do the corporate stuff, but I was like, there's something else inside of me. And so I really started something of my own on the side as more of a passion project, and was eventually able to pivot out of corporate America. But what I really love to share with people is just that importance of personal priorities and making sure that you're living in alignment with that. Because if you don't, I do think that's a recipe for burnout.
Yes.
And it might not happen right away, but it will happen over time when you're spending so much time doing something that just doesn't feel that great versus how you really like want to be living your life.
Yeah, I think everyone has their own, definition and experience of, say, productivity. And so you can have someone that considers themselves incredibly productive in their business or in their career, and then, lets everything else go to that pursuit. And then you can have other people that are not productive, don't consider them productive, and they have the same results. And it's at the expense of their personal life and hobbies and taking care of themselves. So this is a really good topic, no matter where you think you're at, about how can we. You used the word alignment. I think that that's such a great question. We know as coaches, great questions lead to great results. So by being like, I think this isn't an alignment, like I think there's something more. And perhaps our listeners are having that inkling, even in their business, even if they're not currently in corporate America, there may be some misalignment.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a good like indicator right off the bat is, are you living in alignment with the things that you care about? So as an example, I can give health as an example. It's one of my top personal priorities in life is to just take good care of myself. And when I was going through this season of feeling really stuck and confused, and I wasn't taking care of myself at all. I was staying up late, I kind of like eating junk food, and then I would go to bed late and I would want to get up for a morning workout, but I would press snooze because I felt kind of like yuck from the night before. And then I would start my day in this like very reactive mode, be very snippy to my husband and like go to work in kind of a tailspin with my coffee spilling. And it's like when I looked at it, when I zoomed out, I was like, quality time with family is not really existent. I'm just like working and spending my days at this job that I don't feel a whole lot of passion or excitement for. And then my own health routine is really taking a back seat as well. And so it might not be health, it might not be quality time with family for you, but those were just two things that were so right in front of me that were being neglected. And I'm like, well, I have to like, this is up to me and it's not the job's fault, but I need to kind of like reallocate and reset how I'm spending my time.
Yeah. And I love your two examples. I think they're common. I've seen clients that have come to me that said, how can I work more effectively and efficiently in the business so I can volunteer more? Like that's heavy on their heart, right? They want to make a difference. Or that they want more opportunity to be involved in their church or whatever their spirituality is. There's so many things, including just hobbies, like plain and simple, squeezing out like the joy of having hobbies and things that interest us. So when you were in corporate and you had a side hustle, was that the business you have now, or was there something that bridged that let you have that time to discover what exactly you were missing? Like, I know when we tell our origin story, sometimes it seems like it was so simple and the person listening on the other side is like, hold on, that doesn't feel so clear for me on my end. So I just want you to dive a little bit more into that.
Yeah. I do still have my business. It was around health and fitness and helping people with at-home fitness routines. And so I still do that. And now I have a lot of like career consulting, things like that as well. So I've expanded.
Yeah.
But I started that parallel to corporate job because I saw a need there, a need for myself. I was like, I'm on a health journey as well. I want to help others do that while I do it. And to me, it felt more like a passion project. I wasn't necessarily like, I need to get out of this job effective immediately. I just knew I gotta like take care of myself and I gotta like have something that gets me excited to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
And so that's, I started it parallel. And then I think as I went with it for like a year and a half, I could see a bigger picture with it and like an opportunity to pivot. So I think that's important. And I think for a lot of people, they do start it more as a parallel opportunity, at least from what I've seen with my clients. And then, a year or two goes by and they kind of like are able to connect the dots more like, okay, this is the path I'm going to take.
Yeah. I think about my own journey coming out of corporate and when you think back and you connect dots, you're like, it was clear as day. But when you're doing it, it's not. You're like,
not at all.
And I don't have a steady income. And I'm not really sure if like what I want to serve the world with actually makes money and all of those things. And then just like the mindset piece of it is, I think about who I was and how I saw things when I was in corporate. And I couldn't even have imagined in my wildest dreams a normal day, what I consider a normal day now. Right.
Right.
And so you have to
Right.
step into it. And each time you step into it, when at some point, a year and a half into your journey, you're like, oh, I can see what's possible. Sometimes you just can't see until you take steps. Like until you just like have the faith and for you trusted a passion and something that you valued. And then that opened the door to the next thing and the next thing. And I just want to highlight that because I'm sure, as you know, with your work, so many people think that they have to have this super clear picture of what they want in 5 to 10 years. And they have to have this whole clarity around it. And when they don't, they internalize that as something that's wrong. And so I just want to just share, like, there is nothing wrong with that.
Oh.
I feel like, to be honest, I don't know what 5 years looks like. Because when I think of the woman I was 5 years from now or before, I'm like, wow, like,
yeah.
And so I want to continue to be surprised, but also just listen to one nudge and like one continued like step on whatever path is meant to be in my personal life or in my business.
Yeah, I think that's a really good thing to mention is like just looking at the next right step.
Yeah.
Because there's so much talk in society of find your passion, find your purpose. And the reality is that's just a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. I think most people don't really know there. And I think it's not one siloed thing. I'm like, this is my purpose. This is what I'm meant to do on this world. I think it's going to evolve and grow. And I think a lot of times you don't realize you're passionate about something until you get good at it. And that means you got to be bad at it first, or I like to say failing forward. So I think we got to take that pressure away of, thinking you need perfect clarity on what your vision is and have a vision, but know that you're going to have to like drive through the fog and not really know where the road is headed. And just keep driving in order to get that clarity.
Yeah. So, for our audience, we're not necessarily talking about leaving corporate and starting a side hustle, but I think there's so many parallels to, so we're in our business.
Yep.
Serving the world with our unique skill set and talent. There's value there. But maybe we're on our way to burnout because it's just like a singular path of working day and night and really just giving it all up in the pursuit of quote unquote success, which is a very narrow definition of, I don't know, for some people, certain revenue, bringing home a certain amount of money, working with a certain client. And so how do you define success for yourself in your business? And how do you help your clients define success?
Yeah, I think a good way to define success is, are you doing meaningful work that you care about? And are you prioritizing like your life's greatest values within all of that? And I'll give an example that really helped me visualize this and just get my own priorities in line, because I think that when you have your own business, you care about it so much. It's like your baby in a sense. And it can be really easy to want to work on your business nonstop. And addicting in maybe a healthy way, but maybe not a healthy way, or maybe not, at the pace that you're going forever, it could be a recipe for burnout. So
I just want to speak to that really quick, like sustained long-term, right? I think what you're saying is, look, we've all been at some season of our business where it absolutely takes head down, grinding it out. Whether that's like, but I think what you're saying is like, let it be a season, not the way that you approach your business all the time. Yeah. Yep. I agree with that.
I think some of us almost need to go through those like seasons of head down, focus, like maybe for the business itself, but maybe to also just gain understanding on like, okay, that was fine, but like, I can't run this fast forever. I've got to have a little more life balance here, but what does that mean? Yeah. And so I learned this from thought leader Richie Norton. He's got a great book called Anti-Time Management, which Amber, I think you'll like the book. It's just got some new like creative ideas around time. Anyway.
I love that. Actually, I've never heard of it. So I'm definitely going to check it out.
It's fascinating. And believe it or not, it's a lot of what you teach as well. He just kind of has a different flair with it, but I definitely like relate to more to Amber's brain, right? With how we go about setting up our days and everything. Anyway, what he talks about in the book is making sure that you build your castle and then your moat around it. And as a society, we love to do this backwards. So your castle is your family values, your faith, perhaps your health, these things that your personal values that you really care about. And then the moat around it is your work and like the resources that enhance your castle. And so many of us will start to build the moat and like put everything into the moat and then wonder, well, why don't I have a castle inside it? And I just think that's a really great way to explain it. And I think a lot of us get caught up in the moat a lot when we want to be caught up in the castle. So, and it's not like the moat is bad. You need it and it enhances your everything else, but just like making sure that you're living in alignment with the things that you care about the most. And it's going to look different for every person.
Yeah. I mean, to bring this full circle of us both talking about our experience of leaving corporate, I think many people leave corporate because they want more free time, because they want to have the ability to control their schedule more. And while that is truly what I believe is a reason for becoming a business owner, it is so quickly gone. Like it's not achieved like in real life. Yeah. And my opinion is that while you had a lot of structure in corporate and, you kind of want to rebel against that. You're like, it's so much structure. It's,
right.
The 40 hours start and end your day, like all the things. People need structure. And I actually thought you were going to say the moat was boundaries. So, when we leave corporate and then we're responsible for ourselves, even though that's what we want, sometimes it just doesn't come in sync unless you figure out what do you need to stay within the lines of what you actually say you want, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And I mean, I've learned a ton from you, Amber, on boundaries and just like how to set up boundaries that really make sense. But we all need structure. And the good news is when you're self-employed, like you can still give yourself that structure, but it definitely takes an element of discipline because no one is there telling you what to do or how you should spend your time, which is why resources like Amber are so helpful. But I'm in full agreement. Like everybody needs some type of structure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even when you were like, if you would show up late, you're like, oh, I'm going to get written up. If I keep doing it, I'm going to get fired. Like whatever that culture was, right? You don't love it, but also there's costs to doing that in your own business, but you don't see it immediately. And it starts becoming the norm. And so I always love to ask my people and my clients is like, if you had hired yourself, would you be firing yourself right now? Like would you, if you were showing up, can you show up as like the star employee? And what would that look like in your business? So that, and here's the thing, not so that like you can make X amount of money, but so that you can like close the door at 3 p.m. or 5 p.m.
Right.
And then go do the things that really like bring you joy in your life.
And when you do that, it does build a level of self-trust. Like I was focused. I did the things I needed to do. Like you start to like count on yourself more. And I think when entrepreneurship and self-employment, there can be a lot of self-doubt wrapped up in it. There won't be nearly as much self-doubt if you carry out on the things that you need to be doing. Yeah. And most of us know exactly what they are. We just like to procrastinate and be distracted and all the things.
Yeah. So when you're teaching your clients and also doing for yourself that you're setting success goals outside of business, how would you say that impacts them as a business owner and or their business? So we said the negative was they disregard all that. They're on their way to burnout.
Yeah.
So what do you see happens when they start integrating and setting goals that are outside of business?
I see them become more creative. I see them become more energetic. More excited. I mean, the reality is when you're spending all of your time in your business, it's really hard to gain perspective and get new ideas. And a lot of my clients that I work with are in content creation. Content creation takes a lot of like creativity. And I think if you're never getting yourself into new environments or taking a break or being outside, like it's really hard to like get that place in your brain working. Yeah. And so, I just see that when people fill their cup with whatever it might be, family, outside, movement, taking a trip somewhere, seeing a new place, it's like it brings a new a new level of themselves, which is
Yeah.
like, oh, this feels good. And then they feel excited to work on their business and they have new ideas and a better level of focus. So it's actually not going to hurt your business. It's going to level it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I really agree with that. And look, I've had my times where I've grinded it out. I love my business. I love my clients. And so you had spoken to that point of like, it can get addicting and it could be a positive. It was that for me for many, many years. And not that I worked like excessive hours, but if someone would say, so what is your hobby? I'm like, doing the next thing in my business. Like if I have extra time, I'm going to slide into the office and like create something or do something, right?
Yep.
But as I've been in business for quite a while, not that my passion has gone away, but I challenged myself to find other things that interested me.
Yeah.
And I can't help to look at it through a business. So like I guess it's been almost 2 years. Like I had this belief that I couldn't keep a plant alive. So I was like, okay. And now I have like over 100 houseplants and and so that's like one of my hobbies.
Love that.
The creative side of it is now I follow all these people that are houseplant moms. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, look how creative they're getting with getting their message out there and they're following on social media. And like, I still kind of see it through the lens of business. I can't shut that off. But to your point, it fuels ideas.
Yes.
And gives you a lens that is like outside of your industry.
Yes.
And recently I've taken up textured art. Like, again, I would have never thought I was like into art.
Yeah.
But to your point is like, I just wanted to experiment and see if like, okay, would this be something that I enjoy that, you know, is a hobby and can like let my mind relax. And again, you get ideas and you get like peace. And I'll tell you that the way that I show up is so much like, yeah, so it'll work out. Like I have this like total chill attitude in the business that I didn't have many years ago. It was always like a huge drive.
Yes.
I guess what I'm saying is I've evolved, and if you're listening, maybe you're evolving and you're somewhere on this path. It sounds like you evolved and you know, you change what not necessarily values. Like I think your values stay the same, but how that you express that can change with seasons.
I totally agree, Amber. And I think like kind of what you're explaining, like it kind of brings out a softer side of you or a different side of you.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think a lot of us in our businesses, there's this relatability factor when we're, especially with service-based like client businesses, people want to know that there's more to you than like sitting behind a computer screen.
Yeah.
So just me learning about you, Amber, like, oh, you're very into houseplants. That's like fascinating. It kind of makes me like you more, right? Like, I'm like, that's cool. I liked you before, but it's just like
relatable, right?
It's relatable and it's good to have some like well-roundedness. And I think that's really important. And especially if you're trying to like attract other people or bring people into your business, it's like, I think we should be more than just like a one track, like this is all I'm talking about.
Yeah, I agree. So do you have any specific strategies that either you keep balance when I know the business calls for you and pulls for you, or that you give your clients? Because really, when we're growing our businesses, there's always an endless to-do list, right? And so what are some strategies that you give someone to say, you know, zoom out, look at the whole picture. It's okay if the to-do list is still there and you go work out. It's okay if the to-do list is there and you go pick your kids up and take them to basketball practice.
Yeah, a couple things come to mind. Well, delegation, I think, is really important. And I know you share a lot about this too, Amber, but that has helped me unload a lot of like small tactical items that, yes, I could go spend my time on and they could take me, you know, a whole morning. But I do have an assistant who can help me with a lot of that, like more administrative things. And I think a lot of us could benefit from someone like that, who, even if they're just helping you an hour a day, it's just like, I can keep a list of things. That I use Asana with her and keeps that side of the business running.
But an hour a day is a half a day by the end of the week. More than a half of a day. It's 5 hours, right? So that means you could take off 2 hours early and be off when the kids get off. It could mean that you're taking a half of Friday off to go to the spa. Like, you're right. 1 hour does not seem like that much, but if you think about it as not to just work more, but can I still produce the same, reach the same goals and work less? How would that feel? Would that be more joyful? Would I be happier? Yeah.
Exactly. And not to mention like the idea of like task switching all the time with like all these little tasks that she's completing for, for me, it would really cut into a lot of my other work time as well. And so it's like the opportunity cost of the task switching is really important as well. So I think delegation is something that has really helped me and I think can help anyone. And then another thing is I just always ask myself, like, is this going to give me better energy? Because when you're in your own, when you're a solopreneur, self-employed, like having energy is so important. And so, just yesterday, I'm sitting at my desk. It's the middle of the afternoon. I'm kind of like stuck. My brain is like not performing well. I'm getting distracted, looking at my phone. I'm like, I need to go out on a walk. And I was like, oh, I still have a lot to do. I only have 2 hours left before I got to go get my kids. And I was like, no, you're going to go on a 20-minute walk, feel better for it, come back in here, hammer everything out.
I love that. That's going to be the clip of the whole interview is that self-talk conversation that everybody has. And you knew that on the other side, it was all about energy management and not time management because you probably got the same or more done, including the walk. Check. You feel great about yourself.
Right. And come back in and I have to be on video a lot for my work and talking to a lot of people. And so to me to come back in with better energy, it was really important versus just me like grinding it out, So I ask myself that question a lot is, will this give me energy? And then the last thing that I do, and Amber, I feel like you teach something similar, but at night before I go to bed, I have a journal right by my bed. I will write down the 3 wins of my day. Like what went really well today. And that has helped me. I can be really hard on myself, as I think a lot of self-employment, employed women especially can be. And so that has helped me just like, but actually some things really went well today. And then the next morning I will write like foreshadow what are 3 wins I'm working on for today. So that
wow. No, actually I haven't shared that and I haven't heard that. So that's great. So you have a gratitude practice.
It's a gratitude
bookends your day.
That bookends my day. And, I would say it's more than just like a gratitude journal. It's kind of like, what is the best thing that mine are more work oriented because I have a business brain and it's like, but what did we move the needle with today?
Yeah.
And so, that has helped me like just stay like what you focus on expands. So wins compound more wins.
I really like that. Okay. So if somebody is currently working so many hours, they're in grind season, right? Head down. What is a first place that you would say they should start with on expanding their vision of success outside of just business and taking one step? We were talking about that with corporate and our journey as business owners, but like, what's one step that they can take to start this more work-life balance they may desire?
I think the first step is making sure you're carving some time for yourself every day where you can think, walk, get clarity, because everyone needs that like clarity time. And for me, it's like early in the morning, I like to like sit at the table with my journal or sit wherever. And like, I do some really good thinking then before I ever grab for my phone or dive into emails or notifications. I just think that thinking time is sometimes where I get the best ideas and where I understand I need to start delegating this or I need to make sure I get out for a walk every it gives you ideas on how it needs to work. And if you're never carving out that empty time, I'll call it, then you're always in this fight or flight of like trying to complete tasks and trying to get things done. And it's just not how we're wired.
Right. So, when I work with my clients, it usually comes with the mindset of like, I actually don't have time. Like they're redlining, right? Like everything is being given to the business. And so I really like to ask them to tell me exactly what their brain is telling them on why they can't take a walk or fill in the blank. Like why can they not take Sunday off or Saturday and Sunday off? And sometimes our brains are just straight up lying to us.
Totally.
But we have to call it out. Sometimes our brains are actually telling us the truth or some form of the truth. And there lies where your priority is to fix something in the business. So if you seriously have a reason why you can't wake up early and have self-time because you're going straight into your inbox, and you're like, well, if I don't do it in the morning, I'm not going to be in my inbox all day. You're literally giving yourself the answer. So how do you get someone to help you with your inbox? How do you have somebody help you with X, Y, and Z? So this is mindset, but I love just bringing those little voices to the surface and then examining them, because sometimes there's clues as to what to focus on first in the business that feels broken that can help you be more in alignment.
Yeah, that's really, really sound advice.
Yeah. So, and it's not that easy for everybody, but you got to start somewhere. There's really no wrong way. But it's goes again, your beginning of this conversation literally laid such great foundation for our conversation. Is your voice telling you there's something not in alignment? Acknowledge that. Like, acknowledging it is the first step, honestly. Like, not shoving it down, not playing whack-a-mole, not saying there's really nothing wrong, but bringing it up and like, okay, something feels off. What is one thing that I can do to move forward to bring a bit more balance? And that one thing is probably something that's been swirling around in your head for a while. Like, you have that answer.
Yes. Sometimes you just need to get quiet for it to like really come out. And it's like, oh yeah, I am supposed to do that.
Yeah. All righty. So we're going to close up, but I would love for you to share a little bit about how you work with your clients and how we can find you. And if people want to reach out and follow you on your podcast, share all the good stuff.
Yeah. So I work with a lot of female entrepreneurs on growing and scaling their business, launching, like how to like give step-by-step plans on how to grow a business. And so I do one-on-one coaching with that. You can head to mollyasplin.com and to see some of my coaching programs there. And then on Instagram, that's where molly.asplin is my handle. And I hang out there on a day-to-day basis. You can kind of see behind the scenes. I share more health and fitness content over there.
Yeah. And your podcast?
My podcast is called the Dream It, Do It podcast. And that is, that'll be great for your listeners, Amber. Very business oriented, habits, productivity, mindset, breaking through limiting beliefs and fears. So I think very applicable.
All right, awesome. So wherever you're listening to this podcast, make sure you go search her podcast and hit subscribe, take a listen. Thank you so much for being here, Molly, and just having this really great conversation and sharing your own experience and the value of having a truly balanced, successful life, both personally and in your business.
Thanks so much, Amber.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. And I sure hope you found my conversation with Molly to be inspiring and actionable. We all want more than just to be working in our business. We want to feel like we have a fulfilled life, both personally and professionally. And Molly shared her story with us when she felt that nudge, that complacency, that moment when she thought there is more. And while she felt that while she was in corporate, I know that many of you may be feeling that right now in your very own businesses because you're not experiencing freedom of your schedule, financial freedom. And if that is the case, I'm not saying to throw out the business by any means. In fact, that is everything that I help my clients with. It is why my business exists, is to bring more profitability, less stress, more joy to your business. But based on the conversation with Molly, what is one action that you can take and implement in your day-to-day? She shared with us the practice of setting personal priorities and goals outside of business. She also shared with us her example of bookending her day with gratitude. There were so many nuggets in here that I think could definitely be implemented to course correct the trajectory of making you feel and experience more alignment with your personal goals and your professional goals. If you are looking for a business coach that can help you, that can coach you, hold you accountable, teach you the skill sets of managing your time, creating more efficiency in your business, Perhaps learning to delegate or lead your team, or perhaps it's making that next hire, or simply learning to run your business so that you can reduce your stress and overwhelm. I am here to partner with my clients to make those strategic decisions that will help you level up your business. So if you would like to discover how we could possibly work together, whether it's my one-on-one peak performance coaching program or my group coaching program, Leverage Lab, head on over to amberdelagarza.com to find out more. And if you're a longtime listener of the Small Business Straight Talk podcast, I'm going to ask that you share this episode with another business owner who you think would find it valuable. And if you're new here, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss another episode. So that's my Straight Talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.